Hey, happy Monday. Welcome to CEO Check-In. I hope you had a good weekend. I was thinking this weekend a lot about Black Lives Matter because even though now it's kind of going off of some people's radars because the protests aren't happening all the time, now is actually when a lot of the real work has to happen, where it's not so much about going and protesting and drawing attention. It's about the conversations we need to have. It's about owning our part in our history and all of the inequities that we have in our society. I actually was hanging out with a friend last night who is German American, and we were watching this documentary about World War I and World War II. And I'm Jewish, and I pressed pause at one point. I said, how does this feel for you watching this, as a German descendant, as someone descendant of German roots? And I thought he might have a lot to say about it. It's complicated, we have this terrible history of what happened. But instead he was like, well, it really has nothing to do with me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I thought, your father's German. He's like, oh, well, he is. And I said, well, was he involved at all with Hitler and the Nazis? And he said, well, he was a Nazi youth in the Nazi Youth Party. So that was surprising information, and I just really thought he would have more reflections on what that meant to inherit that legacy. And I said to him, we as white people have inherited this legacy of slavery in our country. And so even though, I didn't own slaves, my parents and grandparents didn't own slaves, we still are the beneficiaries collectively. And that's what white privilege is. And so I just wondered if we can have more conversations as white allies about what our collective benefits are of being part of this economy that was largely fueled by slave labor in the early days, and then the legacy of that in terms of so many inequities in housing, in the criminal justice system. I shared on social media, I watched a great documentary called 13th, which I highly recommend. And last week I had my book club with my team at $1 Million Women, and we read How to Be an Anti-Racist. And it really drove home the point in Kendi's book, which I strongly recommend, drove home the point that it's not enough just to say, well, I didn't do anything, right? Because first of all, we're all socialized in America, so we all are racist, whether we're white, black, or brown. But that what you can do is kind of own your piece, right? And do some extra work to figure out, well, what is this privilege that I have, and what can I do to proactively now turn the tide? Of course, we have the election coming up, so voting is something we can do proactively, but getting more informed is also something we can do proactively. Reading articles, figuring out how we can support people of color. Right now is a really hard time for women of color business owners who are a big part of our community. I was reading an article in the Washington Post about how many more people of color owned businesses have closed than white owned businesses. And especially because retail, food, and hotel services, have been so hard hit. And there are a lot of people of color in those industries. So right in our own community, we're trying to really make a difference by giving out grants and scholarships and giving extra support to women of color owned businesses to make sure that they get through this difficult time. So those are just some things on my mind this Monday. I'm glad to see you guys here. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Emily. Hello, Action Leadership Lab. Hello, Luminara Press. I'm going to give my little Go Big tip. I always like to give a Go Big tip on CEO Check-In, and then we'll see if anybody wants to do some live coaching today. It's great to see also Lori Ostrovsky, who's in our current masterclass. If you want to go live, if there's something that you want to be coached on, please just do a little request to me via Instagram, and after I do the Go Big tip, I'd be happy to have you on. Hi, Bianca. All right, so the Go Big tip for today is about making projections. My Go Big tip is to make projections for your business. This means mapping out where you want to get to in any given year in terms of revenues and which things are going to get you there. I'm always surprised when I get on the phone with women business owners at how few of them do projections. And without doing projections, you can't really make a roadmap for how you're going to reach your goals. Especially right now with people pivoting and creating new profits. People are pivoting, people are creating new products and services because of COVID. It's a great time to make new projections about where you're going to end up in 2020. It's a great time to do projections that either are robust, like in Excel or Google spreadsheet, or you can just do a back of the envelope. That's what we like to call it at Million Dollar Women. When we have a new program or a new service we're launching, we'll just quickly map out in Excel or in Google spreadsheet how many clients do we need, at what amount of money, over what amount of time, and make sure it makes sense. And it's not always me doing it. This is a great thing to have your team members do. Our chief of staff, Maddie, just did the back of the envelope for our new Million Dollar Women Coaches program to make sure that we liked where all the math ended up, that we had the right revenue split with the people who we're bringing on. And this is something that we recommend as a best practice for all business owners, is to do projections for the year, but also to periodically look at where you are and do what's called the back of the envelope, which can be very simply writing it out on a piece of paper or doing it in Excel or Google spreadsheet, even better, because then it automatically calculates how many clients you need at X amount of money to get to your goal. So if you have projections already, fantastic. I highly recommend you use this as a reminder to pull them out and go look at them and see if you're on track or if you need to make any tweaks. There are also a lot of people adjusting their pricing right now. So if you are lowering prices because of COVID, you need to go back to those projections and see, okay, how many more clients do I need in order to make the same amount of revenues if I've lowered the price? So that's the Go Big tip for today, and I hope that will inspire you to map out your own Go Big projections plan. And now we're going to get over to some live coaching and see what's going on. All right, I'm live with Luminaire Press. Here she comes. Just waiting for technology. Oh, nope, that one's not going to work out. Okay. Let me see who else wants to go live today, and we will do a little coaching. And if you want some help, just send me the request to go live and we'll bring you on. Okay. Gonna see if I can bring Emily on here. Emily Tryon is one of our graduates. She does injectables based in Arizona, and she is at the 7 figures mark and still going strong, and has been changing her business model too during COVID and training other people to do injectables. I've been watching you on social media and love seeing how you're ramping things up and changing your business model. So let's see. Oh, we got one more person who's asking. All right, give me a minute here. Here's Bianca. Hi, Bianca.
I'm going to put you in my lamp so that it's steady.
Oh, awesome.
Can you see me well?
Yeah, that looks great.
Great.
I like the haircut.
Thanks. It was getting a little too hot.
Yeah, I know. It's warm, right? You're in DC. You guys get that humidity.
Oh, it's like a sauna.
Well, good.
Happy
I hope that's keeping you cooler. Happy Monday to you. I'm eager to hear how things are going. I know you've been making some changes and also thinking about ramping up your sales. I was excited to see that.
Yes. So I've got a new marketing system in place, and I'm getting lots and lots of leads. It all starts with a Facebook ad. And as soon as somebody clicks on my Facebook ad, it'll then take them to a ClickFunnels where I capture their information, and then a set of automated text messages get sent to them.
I'm thrilled to hear that, because I know you were looking at doing more automation, so you figured it out.
Right. Well, I hired a team to help me figure it out. I can't take credit for it.
Well, good. You know what? Outsource it and it gets done. I'm all for that.
Right. And so the text messages that get sent are essentially a lead nurturing process, which then is hopefully going to segue into them booking a call with me. What I'm having trouble with, Julia, is, they'll book a call and I'll call them and I get a voicemail.
Oh, so they book a call, but then they're not free for the call.
Right. So I'm wondering if, on the one hand, do I need to learn how to leave an effective voice message, or are these bad leads, or what
That's a
comes
good
to your
question.
mind?
Well, I think that if they're booking a call, then they obviously had the interest at the time they booked the call. Now the question is, how can you make sure they show up, more of the time? I mean, look, everybody who does a marketing funnel like you're doing does have to contend with no-shows. That's just a fact. But there are things you can do to lower the number of no-shows. So one thing you could do is, what does your confirmation look like? Do you do like heavy duty confirmation?
Yes, it sends a confirmation the day before the call and also an hour before the call.
Okay. And do you text message them to say, like, are you still free for this call?
Yes, it's a text message that says automated reply. This is a confirmation of your call with Bianca in an hour at whatever time.
Okay, which does seem good, but it's not asking them to confirm. Like I noticed that even like my dentist, right? I'll get a text that says like, N to say no, C to confirm, so that you have to actually take action. So that might be a better way to go, is to have them kind of buy into it. Because look, our phones get filled up with all this stuff, right? Including like weird voicemails, people speaking in Chinese. I don't know if you get those, but it's like some kind of a spam thing that's going around where you pick up a call and it's just someone speaking in Chinese.
Right.
So, there's like stuff that comes through your phone that you just ignore. And it is possible that people are just getting that confirmation text and it's just in this, big line of text, some of which
True.
are important, some of which aren't. Whereas if they have hit C, confirm, at least they've seen it and they have the intention of showing up.
That's a great idea. Something so simple as like one letter. That's great. Thank you.
I don't know what system my dentist uses, by the way, but if he's figured it out,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can too.
Right.
The second thing you could consider is having a VA who I recommend everybody gets a VA, but this could be a good VA job, which would be to call the people, right? Like the morning of. I mean, depending how much a client is worth to you, let's say a VA is $20 or $25 an hour. And let's say in an hour a day, right? That's 5 hours a week. So that's 5 times 25, $125, right? So would you spend $125 a week to know that 90% of your calls are going to actually be there when you call them?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's something I would have to think about.
Just kind of do the math on that, right? Because
Right.
it's possible that having somebody confirm the call will make a big difference. We do that at Million Dollar Women. Someone on our team calls
Right.
the person or texts, or we always seek some kind of confirmation, because the time of the people who get on the calls with the women is really valuable, and we
Right.
don't want to block off that time if the person isn't serious. And look, we've all done it where you see an ad and you click on something, you're like, oh, I really want to do this, but then when the day comes around, you're like, oh, that's not that important anymore. Right. So having someone call the morning of and be like, hey, this is your day, this is your call. The other thing you could do is record a little video that would go out as part of your funnel that kind of gets them excited, right? Like I have a video, I don't know if you remember when you came through my funnel, that I have a video that's like, I'm excited to talk to you. You're making the next big step in figuring out how to scale up. Make sure to read chapter 7 of my book, right? The chapter on delegating. And even if they don't read the chapter, one, it's a reminder that I have a book, right? That everything I teach comes from somewhere, right? That's one of my differentiators, that I have a book, so I might as well reinforce that. And if they do read it, then they're that much more bought in to who I am, right? Like maybe you could send them something, you could make a little video and say like, hey, before we talk, like download my, 10 tips for staying healthy during COVID-19 or whatever it is. And if they do read it, even if they don't read it, it's a greater validator, right? That you're like serious, that you've got this thing. If they do read it, they're more bought into you when you get on the phone than they would have been if they hadn't read anything.
And that gives them a sense of human connection because they'll actually see my face and hear my voice. Which brings me to a second question, like part 2.
Yes.
Would you suggest, on my text messaging automation, it says for a call, let's connect for a call. Would you recommend connecting for a video call instead? Is that a better way to close a sale?
I would recommend letting them choose, actually. I think some people really love doing a video call and some people really don't want to do a video call, at all. So I would let them choose. It also means, I know for myself, if I'm going to do a video call, I want to have my lighting set up, right? I want to be somewhere that's a background I like. So it might give me pause. I wouldn't want you to lose clients, right? I might be like, oh, wait, can I really do a video call at that time of day? Or am I going to be like walking outside in between two things? Oh, then I better not sign up because I don't know when I'm free for a video call, right? We wouldn't want that. Hi, Rabia. Right. So that would be my only concern is to not lose anybody that way. Whenever you can give people choices, I think that's the best way to go. But now that you've got this marketing funnel set up, and I'm so happy you do, it's a volume game, right? Like you're going to have lots of people kicking the tires. They're not all going to be the right fit for you. So what you want to start getting better and better at is how do I do some pre-vetting, right? Because problem number one is I don't have enough leads, okay? So now you solve that. You're running your Facebook ads. You've got people coming at you. But that leads to problem number two, which is am I talking to the right people? Am I wasting my time? Right? How do I spend more time talking to the right people and less time hearing, hello, you've reached the voicemail of, like, that's just a waste of your time, right? And somebody else could have that slot. Right.
Yeah. Now that I'm so close to getting the sales cure, I'm just like, I need to make one more sale before I get that.
Well, I would say it's the opposite. I would say get the sales cure and it pays for itself on the first sale. Because what the sales cure teaches is how to go into every single call with the confidence that you know how to get them to sign up, right? Like when I get on a call with a woman about masterclass or one of my team members who's trained in the sales cure, the only reason that person would not sign up is because they're either not ready, right? Or they don't have a big enough problem. But if they're ready and they're really feeling the pain, they're going to enroll. Because our method is so solid that we help them to uncover what their problems are and then we show them how we can help them. And it's all about having a good fit. Like the old sales methods were about how do you finagle someone into buying from you. This method is not at all about that. This is about how can you uncover in one call whether you're a fit for this person. And what most people are doing getting on calls is most people in your shoes, Bianca, is like, well, I know my program's great. So I'm going to get on a call with this person and they're going to find out how great my program is. And that's going to make them want to enroll. And, you could have like a 30% close rate doing that. Like that works sometimes, but it doesn't work all the time. Right. And you don't know when it's going to work and when it's not going to work. So right now you're probably getting on every call like, oh, I hope they sign up, right? And that's not a good feeling. We feel more confident doing things when we have a method, when we have a system, right? Like I go live twice a week, every week. I set everything up the exact same way every single time because it's less stressful, right? If every time I went live, I used a different lighting system and sat in a different place and talked in a different order, like that would be way more work for me.
Yeah.
Yet that's how most people are selling.
I really like the idea of having a script. Does the sales cure teach us how to create our own script?
The sales cure teaches you my method, which includes a script, and also writing up what the objections are they usually get and how to handle them. Because I always like to say it's all fun and games until you get into the objections, right? Like selling is fun. Who doesn't want to get on the phone, talk to new people, talk about the cool things you're doing? Like that part is fun. But inevitably you hit the moment in the call, right? Where you say how much it costs. They have all kinds of concerns. They're, asking you stuff you can't always answer. That's when you really want to be a trained salesperson, right? Because that's what sales training teaches you how to handle so that you're never thrown when that happens. You're totally ready. I mean, I didn't take a sales program until I really wanted to scale up Little Pim in a big way, my old company. And then I realized like, I can't just keep winging it. Like, sure, I'm, passionate and I'm good on the phone, but I wanted to have like a rock solid method I could use every single time. And so I went out and got trained in sales and then created this program so that you guys can have that confidence when you get on those calls.
Cool. I wanted to tell you something off topic.
Sure.
I was FaceTiming with a friend earlier this morning and she said she, is taking her Italian lessons every morning. I said, oh, that's so cool. What kind of app are you using? She said, oh, I'm using Pimsleur.
Oh, that's so great. Yes,
I
that's
said,
my dad's method.
I I know all about that.
That's fantastic. Small
Yeah,
world. I'm always happy when I hear people learning languages with Pimsleur.
Yeah.
Is it working? Is she speaking some Italian?
Yes, and I have started studying it as well.
Italian?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, Bianca does sound kind of Italian.
Yes, my name is Bianca Russo. It's very Italian.
And so who's Italian in your family? Like, is it many generations back, or is it
My
like your
father
parents?
is Italian.
Your father. Awesome. Does he speak?
He does, and we've gone to Italy together twice now, and it was very impressive to see him.
Oh, so fun. Well, yeah, if you do Pimsleur by the next time you go, by the next time we're allowed to go,
I know.
you could be conversational.
Yes.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yes. Thank you.
Is there
so
anything
much
else
for
about
this.
sales I can help you with? Because if you're having this question, I'm sure a lot of other people are too, right? How can I get on calls and with more confidence lead people to where they say yes?
Yeah, I'm just learning. I'm reading a couple of books, and I'm learning about how to ask the right questions, and I'm learning more about the discovery process. And, you know, it is fun. It is fun to learn how to control a conversation and how to connect with people through the emotions. So, you know, I like you said, it's a numbers game. The more, you know, the more leads that I get, the closer I'll get to the opportunity of closing a sale.
Well, and also the more highly trained you are, the greater percentage of sales you'll close, right? So if you look at how many, like maybe just look at your calendar after this call. And if you have like 10 calls this week, just do the math. If I could close 8 of them, how much money would I make? And if I close 3 of them, how much money will I make, right? Over the next, let's say 6 months, because since you do training, right, they could be with you a minimum 6 months, maybe longer. And if there's like a several $1,000 gap there, which I suspect there is, right, it's probably worth investing in a sales training. It doesn't have to be mine, but mine works. So I'd love it if you take mine. But to get trained in sales so that you can close more like 80% of the time, which is about how much we close $1 million women, as opposed to, 30% of the time, which is how much people close when they haven't been trained in sales.
Right. Yeah, those numbers are real. I mean, I would love to close 80% of my sales.
Well, just like you have to train your trainers, right? Like they can't just say, okay, well, I'm going to go start teaching people. You have to train them how to do that. So this is just that next set of skills for you to learn, right? I had to get trained in sales. Once you're trained in sales, you'll look back and be like, I cannot believe I didn't know how to do this. I can't believe I was getting on calls with people and just like winging it. I just did a private training this morning with a graduate of masterclass and her husband. They've gone into business together. And he came on, he's doing the sales for their business. And he was telling me what he's doing. And it was like painful for me to hear about, because he's getting these people on these calls. And then when they get to the point where they have objections, he's going like, okay, well, why don't you think about it? And it's like, no, that's not what you need to do, right? But if you haven't been trained, you don't know what to do, right? So now he was all excited after our training this morning. He can't wait to, go on his next set of calls because he has a method that is tried and true for what to do when you hit that point. So that's really what we were trying to achieve with the sales cure. Just give everybody, and we made it like crazy affordable, right? It's under $500 and you get a discount because of masterclass. Right. But, I paid $10,000 for my first sales training, $5,000 for my next sales training, $7,000 for the other sales training, and it was all completely worth it. Wow. Not only because I then created my own sales training, which I've sold to a lot of people, but because I get on calls with a level of confidence and comfort that I never had before doing all that training. So that's really what I want for you, is just to have that level of confidence and comfort and to be able to enjoy it, right? When you're good at something, you enjoy it more than when you feel like you're winging it.
Absolutely. And as a youngster, I was very much into athletics. And so I understand the importance of practice. I understand the importance of training. And, I can only read so many books, but then I do think I need that course interface to help to teach me how to go through those steps.
Well, in sales, there's so many books on sales. I probably read 10 books on sales, and a lot of them tell you different things. So that can also get confusing. I think in as much as your sale is similar to my sale, meaning like B2C, right?
Right.
If you did do the sales cure, you'd be benefiting from the fact that I sifted through all those books, all those training programs, and pulled out the things that are relevant to this kind of sale. Because, for instance, there's a whole other process for what's called the consultative sale that's used in B2B, which is like a many-month process, right? And there's like RFPs involved, and that's just not relevant to your business, Bianca, right? Like you just want to get on a call and get from hello to yes in one call. Am I right?
Yes.
Like that's the goal.
That is the goal.
That's the goal, right? So that's what I put into the sales cure, is how to get from hello to yes in one call.
Cool.
But since we're here, is there anything I can help you with? Like you're getting on calls today, potentially. What's like the hardest part for you? It might be interesting for people to hear because they may have similar struggles.
Well, the hardest part for me is, like I said, we've kind of gone over this already, is waiting for them to answer.
But once you do get them on, assuming that they get on and you have the call, where does it go south? Like when they don't sign up, what do you think has happened?
I think it's a matter of my lack of experience. I didn't have a script. I didn't know what to say. And they would say, oh, I just don't have the money right now. Let me think about it. And I would be just like, okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. It's embarrassing because
Right.
a lot of energy has gone into getting them toward the phone. And then I just was a total flop. So
well, I'm so glad you realized that there's a solution to this, right?
Yeah.
That if I get trained in sales, I don't have to feel that way anymore. And the person I helped this morning had the exact same thing. He was like, I am wasting so much time talking to people because, he prepares and he gets on the call and he gets very invested in talking to them. They spend like an hour. And then if they don't enroll, that's just like a huge waste of time. But I do think that as entrepreneurs, we have to hit that wall first before we get trained in sales. I know I did, where it's like, yeah, I'm sick of this. Like my time is more valuable than this. If I'm going to get on calls with people, I want to make sure I know what I'm doing and that I have a 70 to 80% chance of closing, not a 30 to 40% chance of closing. Right? So I think you're right at that place where you're like sick of it. And that's when you'll actually invest the time and energy to learn a method.
Right. I want to learn how to come out of the gate running. I think it's the first 30 seconds are really important. And other than just like, hi, this is Bianca Russo from Body Positive Bootcamp, I don't know what else to say after that.
Well, wait, I have an idea. I'm going to see if Rabia will go live with us. Rabia is often on these calls because she and her colleague just used the Sales Cure to close a $30,000 deal. And I want to see if she'll talk to us about it.
Cool.
So are you good?
Yes. Thank you, Julia.
Good. So great to see you. Good luck
Bye.
with making your sales decision. I'll see if Rabia can come on live. Have a great day. Bye, Bianca. All right, let's see if Rabia wants to come tell the story because I would love to hear about it from her. I heard about it from Carrie because I know you've been practicing the Sales Cure and trying to get those steps down. Hello, beautiful. How are you, Rabia?
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited for you that you closed that deal. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, Carrie and I are very excited. So
I'm so happy for you. Well deserved. You guys put a lot into that. Oh, we have some people joining us. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Britt. So would you mind sharing a bit? Because I'm sure that'd be helpful for other people. Like, how did you use the Sales Cure to close this deal?
Sure.
Oh, wait,
sure.
sorry, we have newbies coming on. So maybe just a quick reminder who you are and what you do.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Rabia Shafi here. I have a consulting firm that focuses on helping leaders show up more powerfully and create better workplace cultures for their employees. So coaching, workshops for leadership development, and a lot of organizational culture change work as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what was the situation?
So the situation was an organization that was looking for some type of learning journey for their high potential leaders. And it's like a really select group of leaders who are performing well and still need to bolster their leadership skills and get some coaching around how to lead by example and really just the practical, tactical fundamentals of what it means to hopefully be groomed for potentially an executive leadership position down the line.
Which is right up your alley. Right?
Totally.
But just because it's up your alley doesn't mean you're going to be able to close it. So what did you do? Like, what tactics did you use?
Yeah. Well, so Carrie, colleague of mine, this is her kind of her baby, and she and I walked through the Sales Cure together. And really, I think the biggest thing, and it does vary, but I would say that making that connection, like the cure, the C in the cure, that's kind of the biggest thing because we can speak the same language with the client. We know it's not our first time. It's not our first rodeo in terms of working with them. And also I think recognizing that during the time of COVID, this is when a lot of organizations are slashing budgets for professional development. So
let's be real, right? It's harder to make sales now in this environment than ever before. And I know that's why you and Carrie decided let's get trained in the sales cure as we go into this big negotiation
Yeah.
and put whatever more chance on our side that we can. Was there any
Absolutely.
moment during the process of closing this deal where you felt like, I would have done this had I not taken the sales cure, but instead I'm going to do that?
That's a great question. One of the things that stood out was really trying to highlight the pain or what would be at risk if they did not move forward with this and train these leaders. Because ultimately, the future of the organization is resting in the hands of the ability of these leaders to come together, break down cultural barriers and divides, and really kind of row in the same direction, and accountability and other cultural issues are at stake.
There's so much at stake, absolutely. And so great job, because that's a huge part of why the sales cure works, right? Is that you're not trying to like force someone to do something. You're more asking them to get in touch with, well, what's going to happen if you don't fix this, right?
If you don't fix it. Yeah.
That's right. And Carrie shared with me there was a moment where she was tempted to start telling them like, oh, well, you just need to do this, right? Which in the sales cure, we call that giving out Band-Aids, right? Like it's not really helping them because you're telling them to do stuff they can't really do on their own. And it also demotivates them from hiring you because they're like, oh, wait, that's a good idea. I should go try
that's all I have to do? Yeah, exactly.
Instead of actually hiring you to fix the real problem, which doesn't just need a Band-Aid.
Totally. And, Julia, I think that's the one thing that as people who are subject matter experts, right, you're selling what you're good at. Learning how to refrain from trying to solve the problem in that call, I think, at least for me, has been the biggest curve, because I know what my recommendation is and I want to talk about the program, and I'm like, yeah, here you go. Like, this is what we can do. But
and you can do all that once they're paying you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I have to remind myself too, right? I mean, you could imagine the calls that my team and I get on. We hear the same problems over and over again.
Totally.
We know all the solutions, right? So I'm always tempted on these calls, like, you just need a virtual assistant, right? But I know that if I say that to a woman on a call, that's actually not helping her, right? Because she's gonna first of all, she's not gonna go hire a virtual assistant, right? Because most people don't do that unless they're in a program helping them figure out how to do it. And even if she did, she wouldn't know how to train her. And then it wouldn't go well, and then she'd be right back where she started. So it's we think it's helping them, but it's actually not helping them.
Totally. I think so. And and I was just laughing because I remember during one of our conversations about the sales cure, the thing that, because I work with organizational culture quite a bit, and every time I would meet someone at a party, they're like, oh my God, let me tell you about my boss. Like, and they'll give you this whole scenario, and they're like, so what would you do? What should I do? And I'm like, damn it, like, do I really have to give my response and answer? And it kind of back you into a corner. So I think learning about the sales cure, where you said, like, sure, book a call with me. I work with leaders like this all the time, or these issues.
Exactly right.
How do you get out of that?
Potential client.
Yeah, totally.
I love that. That's great. Well, I'm so happy for you guys that you got this big deal.
We're so excited.
Close. It's awesome, and you're going to do an amazing job. And I hope it also boosted your confidence that now you can go into any situation and use this method, right? I mean, hundreds of women have used this to close literally millions of dollars of deals. So the better you get at it, right? The better you get at it, the more comfortable it'll be and the easier it'll be to close next time.
Totally, totally. And I think the last thing I just wanted to say is, in terms of the C for connect, really during this time, I know one big connection point has been acknowledging the investment that people are making in their teams and themselves, when it's going against the grain, because most people are not doing that.
Most people are firing people, right? So the less investing in their people. You're right.
Yeah. So kind of that acknowledgement and respect for someone to actually take the time to do it, that's been such a deep, helpful starting point of the conversation, because we're like, we get where you're coming from, and we so respect you. Like, that's just, I know Bianca was saying, like, what do you do after, like, hey, I'm Bianca, I'm doing this? Like, that might be a helpful starting point to just acknowledge
you're
that.
Giving a Band-Aid right now.
Am I? Oh shoot, I'm sorry, Bianca. Just kidding. Take the sales.
Thank you. That's better. No,
Take
because
the sales
it's not
cure.
going to help her, right? If she does that one little piece of the sales cure, that's not going to
you're right.
any difference. Busted.
Oh
I
no,
love
I'm
it.
caught red-handed.
I know. It's hard to break the habit, though. I mean, you're a coach because you love helping. So, of course, you're going to
Yeah,
want to start. And, you know, like I said, it happens to me too, right? I remember when you and I
totally.
first got on the phone, I probably thought of 4 things I wanted you to start
I'm
doing right
sure.
away. So maybe write them down. That's a good trick, right? You can just write
Yeah,
them
get them out
down.
of your head. Yeah.
That's right. And then when you start working with the person, you can be like, you know, on our very first phone call, I was thinking
Yeah.
that it'd be great if you did X, Y, and Z. And then if they hire you, whether it's you, Robbie, or you, Bianca, you're actually
Yeah.
there to help them troubleshoot, right? Because that's the
That's
big piece of the
true.
puzzle that's usually missing
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
if someone tries to do something and it doesn't work, then they just
Yeah.
get frustrated and they abandon. Whereas if you
Totally.
hire a coach or a consultant like you, right, then you have that person to help you figure out how do I implement this properly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. No, you're well said. I think that totally makes sense. And how cool is it to be able to, when you do sign up, when they do sign up with you, to be like, hey, yeah, you know, during our first conversation, you mentioned this. Like, I think it gives a little bit of sense of your own foresight as a business person
Yes.
too.
And also
So
people love to feel seen and heard, right? And you feel
totally.
so
Yeah.
seen and heard when someone, you know, says back to you the very language you use. They
Yeah.
realize like, oh, she was really paying attention, you know, and I'm sure you take
Exactly.
notes so you can go back to it.
Exactly.
We have to
Yeah.
jump off because it's already
Okay.
12:37, but thanks so much for coming on and sharing that. And
Yeah.
may you go from strength to strength, meaning
Thank you.
build on this, and I hope there'll be many, many more behind it. I'm sure there will.
Thank you so much. Oh,
All right,
always great to see
Rabia.
you. All
Always
right.
good to see you too. Have a great Monday. Bye.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. It's such a great way to start my Monday, to get to connect with you all and to share some of the things that have helped the thousands of women in our community to go big. Emily Tryon was on earlier and she hit the $1 million mark while she was in masterclass. That was really exciting to celebrate with her. And we have women doubling their revenues, hitting the $1 million mark. Britt is on with us, who was a graduate of our recent program. So if you want to learn more about masterclass, please just email Maddie, my chief of staff, Maddy at juliapim.com, and we'll set up a call to see if it's a good fit for you for our next program. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will see you on Wednesday when I believe we're having a guest, but I can't remember who it is, but I'm sure it'll be fabulous. And watch out on Instagram Live for who we're having on. We're having guests every Wednesday now, and also taking suggestions about that. If there's a domain you want to hear about, a topic, or a person you want to meet, let us know, and we'll bring them on CEO Check-In. All right, have an awesome day, and I will see you soon. Bye.